Larry.
Yeah.
Abie.
Hello, Abie.
How you doing?
Doing good.
How you feeling?
I'm feeling wonderful.
That's good.
Yeah.
I'm feeling pretty good myself.
Good.
It was great seeing you at that baseball game.
Yeah, I love baseball.
Yeah, that was a real surprise.
Big baseball fan.
Yeah. So let me see. I'm gonna do a Larry Chance, This Is Your Life kind of thing. Okay. I have in front of me some literature off the internet. Okay. You were born in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. That's correct?
Actually, I was born in the Bronx, but at 1 year old, I moved to South Philadelphia.
Oh, I see. Okay. And it says that you returned to the Bronx in what year?
Early 55.
So you were like 15 years old when you returned.
Yeah.
So tell me, how did the Earls get started?
The Earls actually got started singing in the second floor boys' room at Evander Childs High School.
Okay. And what kind of songs were you singing?
I'm so happy in the soul and all the standard things at that time. So I guess like every other group, we sang pretty much all the standard DooWop, tra-la-las, and zoom, zoom, zooms.
So you were singing in, what was the name of the high school?
Evander, Evander, Childs, Childs High School, the Bronx.
And where in the Bronx was that?
On Gun Hill Road. Okay,
so you lived in the upper north end of the Bronx, right?
Yeah, I lived in Gun Hill area.
Okay, so you were singing, and how did you get from singing in the high school bathroom to the recording studio?
Well, once we actually put the group together, we started working at the Moose Lodge on 216th Street. We started working those kind of things, there was a thing called Boys Town in Mount Vernon. We performed there, and then someone saw us on the corner and handed us a card, and we met with Johnny Powers and Trade Martin, and a few weeks later we were in a recording studio, and we recorded "Life Is But a Dream," "Looking for My Baby," "Cross My Heart," and "It's You," and a couple of weeks later a recording was out.
Okay, and now this was done in Manhattan, I imagine, right?
The recording was done in Manhattan, yeah. So Broadway Recording Studios.
Okay. So those first few records didn't do too much, did they?
Well, "Life Is But a Dream" did very well. In fact, it kind of established us. Murray the K played the heck out of it, and it went top 10 in New York.
It did.
And it got some airplay in Philly and some of the other East Coast cities.
One of the
kind of established the group.
One of the shortest songs on record.
1 minute and 45 seconds.
Right. I always said to myself, I wish that song was just another half minute longer.
Well, it got us extra airplay though, because oftentimes if a host on a radio show only had, let's say, 2 minutes to go, he'd play that 1:45 again.
I see. Now, "Life Is But a Dream" was done by the Harp Tones as a slower version.
Yes.
So did you rearrange that song for yourself?
Yes, because I felt if you can't do it better, do it differently. And nobody's going to do it better than Woody Winfield.
Okay, now I recently listened to "It's You" and "Without You."
Right.
Okay, it seems to me like that's almost the same song.
Almost the same song. We had a problem with the writer of "It's You" began to demand a little too much money. So they wrote another song called "Without You," and we went in and did that one.
Okay, so that's why they sounded so similar.
Yes.
Okay, now, "Looking for My Baby." Where did that song come from?
"Looking for My Baby" was written by my pal T.J. Mora. And him and his group, I think it was the DooWoppers, recorded that originally. I liked the song, I just didn't like their arrangement. So I redid the arrangement and released it.
Okay. Now, I have a whole list here of songs that you guys did. "Little Boy and Girl" was done by the Kodaks. I have that in 1976 you did that.
Well, actually, that was recorded also in the that same Room Records period. It was just a demo that we put on a shelf and never had an intention of putting it out.
Okay, and never? Where did never come from?
Never followed Remember Then, and they wanted something similar to Remember Then, but not quite the same. So Bobby Delden and I got together and wrote Never.
So write us another one just like the other one.
Similar, yeah, but not the same.
Yeah. So where did Remember Then come from?
Remember Then was written originally by my pal, Mr. Tony Powers.
Wasn't there a version of the song Remember When?
Yes, that's what Tony Powers wrote, and then Stan Vincent rewrote it to Remember Then.
And now that was your only national hit. Remember Then.
Big national hit. Life Is But a Dream made the national charts, as did Never.
Well,
Both got up in the 70s and 80s. They didn't make it down to the top 40.
Let me see. I have my Billboard book here. Let me just look this up.
Well, if you look up Cashbox, you'll see they're both on the Cashbox chart.
Well, I don't have it on Cashbox. I only have the Billboard book. I call this book the Bible. Okay. Now let me see.
I call the Cashbox the Bible because I was on it.
The Bible is where you have your hand, right?
Never like bubbling under at about 115 or something.
Because they're in. Let me just flip the page here, looking for the Earls. I should have had it open before I called you, but...
Remember Then was definitely the only top 20 record. We had top 40 record.
Let me see here. How come I can't find it? Earls, here you are. White DooWop group from the Bronx. Larry Chance, Bob Delden, Eddie Harder, and Jack Ray. Okay. Remember Then, number 24, 1962.
Right.
Did that song land you on American Bandstand?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Actually, we did American Bandstand when we did Life Is But a Dream. That was our first time on American Bandstand. That was with Mary Wells, I believe.
Okay, you met Mary Wells.
Yeah, well, I knew Mary Wells. We met her a few times.
Okay. What's it like to be in the be around Dick Clark?
Well, it was especially fun for me because as a kid, I danced a couple of times on American Bandstand growing up in South Philly.
I see.
When I was there, Bob Horn was the host, a gentleman named Bob Horn. And it was strictly a local show.
I see.
And I once said, someday I'm going to come back here as a performer. And so to go back there and do it again and be on that show as a performer was very exciting for me.
I see. Must have been. Okay, so let's look at a couple of the other songs. Eyes.
Eyes was written by my friend Vic Thomas, and I thought it was very different. I liked it a lot, and told Vic I'd like to record it.
All these songs were big hits in New York City.
Yes.
Because I remember them from my early, my early teenage days.
Philly.
Yeah.
Very tri-state group.
Mm-hmm. Now, your most requested song, which I don't think made the charts anywhere.
Never.
No.
I mean, never made the charts, as I believe.
Yeah, but one of the most requested songs, I'm referring to another one now, is I Believe, I Believe.
Yeah, I Believe is definitely the most requested song we do. And it never made a chart anywhere. It was actually a B-side.
Now
the flip side of a song called Don't Forget that I wrote, which initially was intended to be the A-side, and the Highway said, put something on the back, and we did a quick demo of I Believe.
Right.
And that's what went on the back.
Now in the CBS FM top 100 doo-wops, that finishes like way up there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Now is there...
Not just in New York. That song, it's nationally beloved on all these oldie shows. And I think a lot of it had to do with the exposure on the PBS specials.
Now I think there's a story behind that song, isn't there?
Oh, absolutely. You mentioned the original members. You left out Larry Palumbo.
Oh, he's not in the book.
No. But Larry was the original baritone.
Right.
He joined the service and died while serving our country in the paratroopers.
I see.
And I believe was actually done. We had been doing it as a dedication to Larry.
I see.
And so we thought if anything was going to go on the back of a recording, I wanted it to be that dedication to him. And of course, since then, I've become very much a big time proponent of I love our veterans, and I think that they sometimes get the short end of the stick.
They do.
I don't think they're appreciated, and I do all I can to see to it that they're appreciated in my own little way.
Okay. I'm a veteran.
God bless you, sir.
I'm not a war veteran. I was in the service during the Vietnam years.
Yeah, well, I was 4F and they didn't take me.
Yeah.
But I tried.
Well, I got drafted, and all I'm gonna say is I'm glad I got out alive.
Well, you made your sacrifice. That's what counts.
Well, I didn't go to Vietnam, okay, but that wasn't.
You gave up 2 years to your life.
I did.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Sacrifice enough.
I'm always grateful that others went in my place, you know, and I don't know what else.
That's the reason we're here.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Did they fight for our freedom? You know, whether they believe in what they're doing or not.
Exactly. I don't care how you felt about the war, whether it was right, whether it was wrong in your mind, but you had to support the troops.
Yeah.
They're out there doing a job, and you have to support the troops.
Well, they don't get an opportunity to say whether it's right or wrong.
That's exactly it. They have to go out there and they have to do it, their job.
Right.
And we should be grateful for what they do.
Mm-hmm.
The sacrifice they make.
Yeah, I agree with you. I agree. I send money all the time to. They send me the little stickers once a year.
I get them too.
Yeah.
I get them too.
Yeah. So I put some money in the mail every once in a while.
I do it for them. I do it for the Olympic athletes. I think athletics are a big thing for kids, It keeps them off the streets. It teaches them discipline. I think it's a wonderful thing.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so now you have other facets of your career. Things, first of all, there's the DooWop Larry Chance, and there's the nightclub Larry Chance.
Right.
How would you describe the difference in those two lifestyles?
Well, I love music, period. All kinds of music. I love big band music. I love pop music. I love my doo-wop. I love R&B. I love country. I love classical. I don't have tunnel vision. I like all music. And as an artist, you want to, sometimes delve into the other music you love. So I've done, a pop CD, jazz CD. I just enjoy all music. Ray Charles once said there's only two kinds of music, good and bad. And that's pretty much how I feel.
I think there's a few people that said that.
Yeah, and in the nightclub business, it's, I don't want the announcer to come out when they announce me as Larry Chance of the Earls.
Right.
The separate act. I'm Larry Chance. I'm here to entertain you. And I don't do any Earls material in my act, my separate act. I do them apart. And I love the challenge of going out there and winning the audience. As Larry Chance of the Earls, when I go out there with the guys, we already have the audience. We have to work hard not to lose them.
Right.
Whereas with my solo act, I have to go out there and win them.
Uh-huh.
You know what I mean?
Yes, I do, because I've seen your act.
I love the challenge.
Yeah.
And, of course, both acts have a lot of comedy. I've always been a frustrated comic.
Mm-hmm.
My 10 years with Imus.
Yeah, I was going to get to that. Tell me about that.
Well, many years ago, Imus and I had the same producer. He was doing comedy recordings. And I was being produced by a gentleman named Paul DeFranco, as was Imus. And Freddie, his brother, has always been a sound country writer, but he can't sing. So they needed someone to sing the songs so that they could, send them out to artists. So I became their demo singer. And through doing that in the studio, Don and I became close friends. Mm-hmm. And oftentimes when he lived here in Stanford, I spent Sundays at his house. And then when he came back from Cleveland, he gave me a call and asked if I'd be interested in doing some characters on the show, because he knew I always fooled around with comedy and with, just doing crazy things. So
Geraldo Santana Banana.
Yes, and Rainbow Johnson and the boys, the Dwarfs. So it was a lot of fun. It was a great experience.
When did that end, and why did it end?
Well, it ended after 10 years because NBC sold the station.
Right.
And it became FAN, and the offers that were forthcoming from them, I didn't feel were good enough, and I just left.
Mm-hmm.
You know, a few of us left. I left, and Al Rosenberg left, so.
Are you still in touch with Amos?
I haven't spoken to him for a while, but we're still friends.
Uh-huh. So you like working with him? It was, I mean, it was a mutual friendship relationship.
Oh, it was a wonderful experience.
Mm-hmm.
He was very, very good to me. And, again, you know, watching genius at work, which he is. I mean, the man is a radio genius.
He is.
And he was an innovator. You know, there were a lot of Johnny-come-latelys, but he was there first. His style of radio, he gave birth to that. And, you know, he may have been controversial, but he was never vulgar.
Mm-hmm.
And that was one thing I liked. He shocked in a different way. Vulgarity wasn't his sense of radio, you know.
What do you think about when like, for example, when Imus gets himself into the kind of trouble he gets himself into?
Well, I'm not surprised. You know, he very much says what's on his mind.
Mm-hmm.
And often, at least the controversy. You know, I don't always agree with what he says or what he does. I do agree with his right to say it.
Right.
You know,
he's
going to say what's on his mind.
Yeah.
You know?
He'd get in less trouble if he controlled himself.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
But I don't think he worries about trouble. You know, when he's doing his show, things just roll out of him, and that's just how it is.
Mm-hmm.
To his detriment. You know,
yeah.
You should take a moment to think about it, but he's very impulsive.
Yeah.
And those things they just flow. And I know the next day he says, "Oh, God, I did it again."
Uh-huh.
But I don't think he does it maliciously. It's just him. You know, he's far from a bigot. I mean, I worked with the man for 10 years.
Right.
And, you know, no one was immune to his daggers.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, he would get on everyone.
Everyone.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes, you know, I believe we're a little too self-righteous today, and we have to lighten up. And, you know, pretty soon there's going to be nothing that anyone can joke about.
Right.
And I don't like comedy that hurts people. But again, you know, comics will at times say things that create controversy. It's just how it is.
Yeah.
I mean, someone can do the news today and make a little off-the-cuff remark and get chastised by the network.
Yeah.
Happens, you know.
There's too much scrutiny.
Exactly.
Yeah. You know, right? People should, you know, just, you know, not really take things as seriously as they may sound.
Exactly. You know, there are those who criticize people like Imus, and then, you know, 10 days later, you read about them in the news because they did something that they have to get called out for.
Yeah.
So, you know, we need to lighten up.
So let me ask you, Larry, what in all the years, you've been a professional singer for 40-something years now.
53.
53 years. That's almost as old as half the people who listen to you, right?
Absolutely.
Now here's a question, okay? In 53 years, what's the biggest thrill you've had in your business?
I don't know if I can give you one, but I can probably give you 3 or 4.
Okay.
That were moments that just define my life as an entertainer. One I would think was when I of course, got my first big record, which was Remember That. You know, at that time, when that record was released, Murray the K had a show on 5 nights a week, and he called it the Big Beat Show, of course, and every week he would, during the week, he would have five different records that came out that day that people would vote in on. And the record that he liked became one of the, each night there was the winner would then go into the Saturday night show where people would call in for the one they liked, and that would be the, you had the champ record of the night, and that would be the boss record of the week.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the boss record of the week was guaranteed 2 weeks airplay. So when Life is the Dream was released, we had every kid in the North Bronx with a pocket full of dimes calling CBS, and they were inundated, and we even broke Elvis Presley's record. And that got us to 2 weeks airplay, and that really was what got us on the way.
I think you mean WINS.
WINS, yeah.
Right.
So that got us going. So that would be one moment. Of course, when I watched Remember Then climb the charts, and I'd listen to Peter Tripp to see how it was doing. You know, each week he had his top 40 show. I think what he called it, Peter Tripp, the curly-head kid in the third row. And we'd listen to see if the records were climbing. Then, of course, when I returned to American Bandstand as a performer, that was special.
Now, was this with Larry Hornigan or Dick Clark?
That was with Dick Clark.
Okay.
My appearances on American Bandstand as a performer with Dick Clark, who incidentally is a sweet, sweet man.
Okay.
And Radio City twice. And I'll tell you why twice. Again, as a child, we'd come to New York and go on these trips to see the Christmas show or the Easter show. And I sat in that audience one day and I said, someday I'm going to be up there.
Mm-hmm.
I did that as a little kid. And to come back to Radio City as a performer, that first time, my knees knocked. Now, the second time, of course, I'd had the bout with throat cancer.
Right.
And 2 years later, I made my comeback. My comeback with the Earls was at Radio City Musical. And I was terrified that night because I didn't know what was going to come out. And the way they did it was, I asked, can we open the show? I want to get it done and over with, you know. So they brought us up out of the orchestra pit, you know, as they're announcing the shows. And with the drum on, then they said, you know, and now for the first time in 2 years, and before they could get out Larry Chancellor, the stage came up and people saw us, and they started, we love you, Larry. And I'll tell you, the tears just flowed. And I got through that night, and everything went okay. And I remember I walked off, I got into the wings, and they said, I'm back. And that was the thrill.
Now, I was reading here that your bout with throat cancer was in 2000.
Yes.
Right, so it's been 9 years.
Yes.
How's your health?
Still cancer-free.
That's great. That's really great.
A little overweight, but...
Well, we're all overweight. You know, I was looking at 2 pictures of you before. You know, I saw the picture of you when you were like 17, right? You don't look like the same person.
No, I know.
You know, but you know, we're all like that. I look at myself when I was 17, and I say, I wish. I was 125 pounds when I was in the Army.
Well, I had a 28 waist, and I was almost 50.
Yeah, it's just part of growing up, you know.
Yeah, I guess. And also, I stopped smoking.
Yeah, well, do you remember meeting me now? Do you remember meeting me for the first time at the Granite Hotel?
Absolutely.
That was in the...
I was introduced to you by Dave Winograd.
That's correct. And you were smoking then.
Yeah.
I don't know if you...
Idiot.
Yeah, well, I don't know if you remember me saying this to you. I had just quit. Okay, I haven't smoked a cigarette now since April 30th, 1986. So it must have been right after that because I wasn't smoking. It must have been maybe a few months after that, and I noticed you were smoking. And I remember saying these very words to you, and you may recall, you may not recall. I said, Larry, your biggest asset is your voice. Why would you want to smoke?
You said that to me around 1989.
Okay, you remember this.
I'll tell you why.
Yeah.
Because in 1990, I had a dissection of the aorta, which I still live with. I take medication for it. That's normally fatal. And it was attributed to smoking.
Oh.
I stopped smoking in 1990.
Right.
But by then, of course, you know, I even said to the doctor, I don't understand this. I got cancer in 2000, but I stopped smoking in 1990.
Right.
She said, well, you would have just gotten it sooner.
I
had already done the damage.
Right.
But, yeah, that was in 89 when I met you.
Right. Okay.
I know that because I had my My aortic dissection came in 1990.
Okay, so it was 3 years after I had quit.
Yeah, then I blossomed.
Yeah.
I blossomed. I became 2. There was more of me to love.
So Larry, I'm looking on the internet. I see you guys are booked, through 2010, right?
Yeah, actually, we have some jobs in 2011 yet, which I haven't posted.
Uh-huh.
Isn't that nice?
You should book through 2020, and maybe you'll live that long.
God willing.
You just tell the man, we got gigs,
I don't know how to do anything else. I've never wanted to do anything else.
Well, you're doing it your way, that's for sure.
That's for sure.
So do you ever do that song, My Way?
Absolutely.
Okay. What are some of the...
You can't come from the Bronx and not do My Way.
What are some of the songs you do on your solo act?
Time After Time. That could be the start of something big. I do a Platters medley. I do some Bobby Darin tunes.
Mm-hmm.
I'll do Sinatra's When I Was 17. Well, I do it in an entirely different way. A lot of ballads, Teach Me Tonight.
Mm-hmm.
I do some Tom Jones. Everybody likes Tom Jones, So, I do some of those things in my act with the Earls, too.
Uh-huh. Now, the Earls you sing with now...
I do a lot more standards when I'm solo.
The Earls you sing with now aren't the original Earls, right?
No.
So what became of the original Earls?
Well, Bobby T's been with me now for about 40-some-odd years.
Mm-hmm.
The original Earls. Well, Eddie Harder, Larry Colombo, of course, passed away in the service.
Right.
Bobby Darin passed away about 10 years ago. Eddie Harder owns a little sawmill up in Saugerty somewhere. And Jack, the original bass baritone, he's out in Texarkana, Arkansas.
I see.
Drives an 18-wheeler. And I'm the only original left.
So I guess during the lean years, were maybe in the 70s, was there a period, between the hit songs and today where you all had to go and get different occupations?
Well, I think some guys just tired of the traveling and the nightlife. Certainly Eddie did. Bobby Delden did. And Jack did.
Mm-hmm.
What we did was we changed the name of the group to Smokestack. And we became I added 3 horns, and we became a very popular New York City dance band. We spent we'd do 6 nights a week from a month at a time at the Peppermint Lounge.
Uh-huh.
We'd work at the Headliner in Manhattan. We'd work at Barney Google's. We'd work at the Wagon Wheel. We do all those places out on Route 46 in New Jersey, most of which were 6 nights a week for a month at a time. And it gets tedious, but you have to truly love what you do.
So the name of the group was...
I guess I was the only one who was happy doing what we were doing.
Uh-huh. So the name of the group was Smokestack, you say?
Smokestack for a while, yeah.
Okay, but were you doing...
Well, we were hot.
What kind of material were you doing as Smokestack?
We were doing a lot of things like Vehicle and 10-wheel drive.
You were a rock band. Yeah. You became...
Tears, Sly and the Family Stone.
I see.
But we also would throw in our oldies, too.
I see. Did people would know if you start singing Remember Then that you were actually...
Well, you see a lot of the heads in the audience nod as if to say, oh, yeah.
Uh-huh. So...
Say, here's the song we recorded under another name.
Uh-huh. So when did the Earls...
And if you remember the name, we'll give you a T-shirt.
Right.
It cost us a lot of T-shirts, but it was great. It helped us. I felt I was up to keep that name alive. I knew. People said the music's dead, and I said, no, it's dormant.
Right.
It's not dead. It's dormant. And the Beatles came along and just changed things. You had Motown, and you had maybe Johnny Meister had a couple of hits, and Jay Black, and of course the Seasons and the Beach Boys. But that was about it
mm-hmm.
for for American music. If it wasn't Motown or some of the funky acts, it just doo-wop was. It wasn't dead. It was just dormant.
It was dormant. I guess that's the best word.
I'm a happy man.
Yeah.
That's a doo-wop tune.
Mm-hmm.
Then in the 60s you had Kiss Me Each Morning with a Million Tears.
Oh, that's the,
doo-wop tune.
Yeah.
You know, so you did have them. They'd come out every once in a while. So we knew it wasn't dead. And then when, of course, the Richard Naders and all the disc jockeys started, the oldies stations started realizing that there was a market for the music. And when shows began to sell out Madison Square Garden, it was back.
Of course, it's guys like Don K. Reed.
Oh, Don, and of course before him, the one that died early on. Oh my God.
You talking about on CBS?
Oh God.
It'll come to you, Larry.
Yeah.
You talking about Gus Gossard?
Gus Gossard.
Yeah.
You know, he began to do the shows. Then, of course, the Naders did the shows, and Murray the K began to do shows. Brucey started to do shows again, and it just became alive again.
But having Don K. Reed on every Sunday night.
Absolutely.
Okay, I mean, it did it for me.
Don K. Reed was actually, I always called him our Tonight Show. You know, Tonight Show was entertainment. But if you think about it, each guest, when he came on, wasn't just there to be a guest. He was plugging something.
Right.
And so Don K. Reed became our Radio Tonight Show.
I see.
We had a new record.
Right.
CBS wasn't always going to play it initially, but Don would.
How many times were you on Don's show? I mean, I know you don't know the number. Countless, I know.
In fact, we went back before Don, actually, to the days of Norman Knight.
Okay.
And, you know, you mentioned about when I smoked.
Right.
For a while, Norman did his show live at Jimmy's on 45th Street. And I'll never forget, one day we were being interviewed by him, and he was getting ready to do a commercial, and I lit a cigarette, and as he's reading the commercial, I lit the paper up with the copy of it. He couldn't believe I lit up this commercial.
Uh-huh.
Oh, God.
That was the end of the commercial.
That was the end of the commercial for that period.
Uh-huh.
he was
I guess that's what they call non-commercial radio.
There you go. But later he found it amusing.
What's Norman Knight like? I know him from the radio, but
yeah, Norman's a nice enough guy. You know, fairly knowledgeable.
Yeah.
Not as knowledgeable as Don K. Reed, certainly, but knowledgeable.
He wasn't exactly a doo-wop man. Norman, he played.
He wasn't more of an oldies man.
Yeah.
He was a doo-wop man.
Yeah.
That's why I said he wasn't as knowledgeable as Don.
Yeah.
Don knew the doo-wop artists inside out, where Norman was more of an oldies guy. I mean, he could tell you about the main groups, like the Cadillacs and the Duprees and the Drifters, but most of his knowledge was in Elvis and Fats Domino, Little Richard.
And he was the hit. He knew about the hit makers.
The hits.
Right. And Don
knew about all the more.
Right. Whether they made the charts or not, if they were singing doo-wop, he knew about them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And he and I are still very close. He's a special guy, Don.
Yeah, I met Don once or twice. You know what happened?
One of the good guys.
Yeah, I met Don. I was actually up there, while he was doing the doo-wop shop, I was actually up in the studio with him, thanks to a friend of mine, a high school friend of mine. Not to get into the whole story, but we did this high school reunion that I had organized, and as a reward, he said to me, I have friends at CBS. He said, is there anything I can do for you? And I said, I want to meet Don K. Reed. And it took him about 9 months, but we actually went up into the studio while Don was doing the show.
Yeah.
You know, and then I met him. I think you were at this party also, but I didn't see you there because you came late and I left early. It was the a tribute party for Ronnie I. I met Don. You know, Don was doing the emceeing. Do you recall? Sure. Okay, and you know, I said hello to him there. So those are my only real contacts with him. Actually, he called me once or twice, Don, when I started doing this DJing on the internet. But that's about it. Okay, I'm sure you know him a lot better than I do. Yeah. You know, if you tell him I said hello, I'm sure he'll remember me.
Well, I will. You know, his nephew goes to the Renegades games all the time. Don's nephew.
Yeah.
I see him there.
Did you go to a lot of those games?
I go to as many as I can get. Yeah.
Yeah, that was the only one we went to.
I go about 7 or 8 a year.
But
I try to get down to. You know, I used to get to Shea Stadium often. I haven't been to Citi Field yet. I'm a big Met fan.
Yeah.
That's not your fault.
Me?
The fact that I'm a Met fan.
Why would it be my fault?
That's my own fault. I'm
a Met fan.
Oh, my sympathy. My condolences.
They're having a bad year, so.
Bad. My God, they've had 3 bad years. 3 years they should have won, and I don't know. Well,
and, you know, winning isn't everything, Larry. You know, if you enjoy the game and you give it your best, there's only going to be one winner.
No, I understand, but you know what it is? We don't always. That team doesn't always give their best. That's the problem. I mean, you can't make mistakes like they're making, mental mistakes, and have your head in the game. I mean, they make more mental mistakes than any team I've ever seen.
Okay.
I coach Little League teams that didn't throw to the wrong bases.
Okay.
They're throwing behind runners. The ball is hit. You got a guy on second. The ball's it just happened the other night again. The ball's hit the shortstop.
Right.
The guy takes off from second base. Where's he going?
Well, he should be turned.
The ball's waiting for him at third base. I mean,
you're right. That's what I mean. Yeah.
You know, if it happens once or twice a season. It's almost daily. To me, a lack of coaching, a lack of interest, and I don't know if they need a kick in the butt or what, but, you know, injuries aside, you have to have your head in the game, really. Those are things that you should have learned in Little League.
So now we're finding out that Larry Chance is a big baseball fan.
Big time. Big baseball and boxing.
Boxing.
Yeah, in fact, Friday night I'm going to a boxing card in Yonkers, a professional card.
Okay.
So I'm a big boxing fan. And this Sunday I just met with Lou Savarese, who fought, my God, he fought everyone. He fought George Foreman. He fought just about everybody in the heavyweight division of any consequence in the last 10 years.
So you don't think that boxing is a barbaric sport?
Not at all.
No.
I think it's a skill sport. It becomes barbaric only when they these mismatches.
Well, what do you think?
You get 2 skilled boxers. It's a beautiful art. More people die in football and in baseball throughout the United States than die in boxing. And you can look those stats up.
I don't know about anybody dying in baseball.
Yeah, in the minors and in high school. There was one recently where a kid got hit in the chest with a ball and he died.
Okay.
And there was a big thing about it because they didn't have the proper equipment on the field to handle it. By the time he got to the hospital, he died where they said if they had the proper equipment, the child wouldn't have died.
I see.
That was recently.
I remember hearing this.
Yeah, and in football, there were a lot more deaths and people become cripples than in boxing.
Well, football's always been a dangerous sport because somebody's jumping on you, crushing your chest.
Well, the very nature of the sport. You've got the defense.
Yeah.
You've got the offense.
Yeah.
You've got the guards, the tackles. I mean, the nature of the sport is brutal. The very nature of it. Where I think with boxing, again, I'm telling you have 2 skilled people.
Yeah, but you're always getting hit in the head. When you're boxing, somebody's punching you in the head. That's you know, it's just not a safe place to be hit.
Well, I think there are more concussions in football.
Okay.
Same thing again. You know, what about hockey? You want something brutal?
Well, you know, 2 wrongs don't make 2 wrongs don't.
They're boxing and hockey.
Well, hockey is ridiculous because they're taking their sticks and beating each other up.
Well, there you go. It's more brutal than boxing.
Well, that's
all I'm saying is that boxing to me is not a brutal sport when it's two skilled people.
Okay. Well, what do you think about when you see guys like Muhammad Ali today?
What do I think about?
Yeah, I mean, do you think that his condition is a result of other things than boxing?
Only partially.
Mm.
Because that's a disease that people get without ever having been hit in the head, without ever having...
That's true. He has Parkinson's disease.
Yes.
Right? Yeah.
And you don't have to get hit in the head to get Parkinson's.
That's true.
Many people attribute his entire condition to the fact that he was a boxer. Wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the kind of things, though, that make a lot of people feel about boxing the way you do.
Well, I don't know how I feel about boxing, other than that I don't like to see people, fighting with each other.
Well, I don't either, outside the ring.
Yeah.
I'm a very peaceful person, believe me.
Mm-hmm.
Even in the 60s, I was into that motto, make love, not war.
Right. It was a good idea.
But I just feel that, again, it has to be, just like I think the Golden Gloves and amateur boxing are wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
Because they, as I said, number one, they keep kids off the streets today, and that's very important. Number two, it gives them discipline.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
It teaches them to be, to try to eat better.
Mm-hmm.
It teaches them to try and stay away from the sweets. It teaches them to stay away from the smoking, stay away from the drugs if you want to be a boxer.
So there are positive sides.
And there's an absolute positive side.
Okay.
Without a doubt.
Okay.
In my mind.
Okay.
And again, my friend Sal Correnti, who was the lead singer of a group called the Dials.
The Dials. I know the group. I know they had this one song. I can't think of it. I'm like you now. You tell me.
The Dials, and then there was also the Johnny Law 4. Because he was a police officer in Yonkers.
Right.
He's run the Yonkers PAL program there for years. They looked at him as a second father.
Yeah.
And how he saved them from prison. And this man was just honored by the city, by the mayor of Yonkers.
Now, who are you talking about? You talking about what's the man's name again?
Sal Correnti, Corrente.
Okay, now he was with the Dials, you're saying.
The lead singer.
Okay.
And also the Johnny Law 4.
Okay.
And he also worked with the Regents for a while. He was a member of the Regents. And he and I have just co-written 9 songs for my next CD. He was a performer also.
Yeah.
But when you talk to some of these kids, he had 28 Gold Glove champions.
Okay.
And almost all those kids who he took to the gloves have become wonderful, upstanding citizens. Many of them work with him in the gym with other kids.
Mm-hmm.
And
there's nothing wrong.
Positive side to it. Again, when there's a mismatch and one guy's just getting beat on and not competitive, I hate that.
Right.
That's not boxing.
That's bullying.
That's not boxing. What that is, that's the Don Kings who have a fighter they want to push and give him a great record and they mismatch them.
Right.
I'm talking about when you get two really skilled fighters.
Right.
See, that's why I love the Golden Gloves. You have the open classification. You have the novice.
Mm-hmm.
Novice is kids who are starting out. So they will box other kids who are starting out.
Mm-hmm.
You won't get a kid who's an open fighter who's got a history of having fought before.
Now,
against the kid who's just starting out.
Now I do.
The pros,
they'll
match however they want to match.
Well, I do believe in the Golden Gloves. You see, they're always wearing head protection.
Absolutely.
Right. So I could understand the sport there. Okay, and I could understand how it makes kids competitive and they learn how to compete with each other and in a sportsmanlike way. And I'm not trying to knock any of this. I'm just saying that I understand what you're saying.
I think that one day they probably will have headgear for the boxers.
Right.
One day in the future.
Yeah.
You have to remember that when Bob Feller was throwing a ball, some people say 105 miles an hour.
Right.
and he's throwing the ball to Mickey Mantle. They wore no helmets.
Even with helmets.
So there were people who thought baseball was a brutal sport.
Yeah.
I mean, there were people dying playing baseball.
Well, it's brutal. Baseball is brutal when the pitcher purposely throws at a guy's head.
Okay. And baseball is also brutal when a guy slides into second base, spikes up.
Right. Well, that part. Right. That part of the game isn't very nice and.
But also, you have to remember that a pitcher isn't infallible. He can throw a ball and aim for the guy's midsection, and the ball rises.
Well, yeah, or he
Not
could.
Everyone is Sandy Koufax.
Or he could be a lousy pitcher and be trying to throw the ball over the plate.
Remember, Nolan Ryan he walked America for the first 5 years of his career, and he was dangerously wild. But guys had helmets. The helmets were not as safe as those of today. When Willie Mays played and these great players, there was no helmets. And yet they never charged them out, if you think about it.
No.
They got up, they dusted themselves off, put the hat back on, and the way they got even was to try to hit a home run.
That's right.
You know, it's just changed a lot. But I've got to tell you, just watching my friend work with these amateur fighters, and to see the men he makes out of some of these gangbusters. He had one kid who was shot 5 times. And this kid came into the gym, became a man. Today he's got a family. He's got a little T-shirt business. And he runs, printing T-shirts and things. To me, this is.
There's nothing wrong with taking kids who have no direction in life and showing them the right way to go.
Exactly.
Okay.
And again, it does teach them discipline.
Yeah.
It teaches them a lot of things. Can it be very brutal? Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think this new sport now, the MMA, that's ridiculous. They basically have no padding in the gloves.
Is that all?
Yeah, it's crazy. It's insane, and I don't like it.
Yeah.
That's brutal. That's
it's
very little skill there.
Yeah.
Most of those guys who are doing that failed as boxers, and that's why they're doing that.
Oh.
But people want to see blood and lust. I don't like that.
No.
That's beyond me.
Yeah.
I don't like hockey for that same reason. I love the skill of the sport.
Yeah.
But that each team.
No, I know what you mean.
He's the enforcer. But it's his job to go up and beat up on people.
Well,
that's not sport.
Well, they should put criminal charges on people that do that.
I think so.
Okay, because what you're doing is you're taking a weapon and endangering people, and it's not right.
Well, I think someone year before last, with a high stick to the head that incurred some major damage, someone was tried and convicted.
Okay.
And I think now that they don't use the sticks, but they still punch with bare hands. And still crazy.
Well, if you have to do that to promote your sport, then it
I know, it's crazy. They could eliminate it easily just by just the way that baseball could have done away with illegal drug use years ago by implementing the same restrictions they have now.
And hopefully they'll get rid of it now.
I hope so.
Yeah.
And there's a big danger.
Yeah.
Steroids.
Yeah.
And these kids don't realize, they won't affect them till they're in their 40s and 50s if they make it.
Yeah.
You see these wrestlers constantly dying in their 40s.
Right. They were doing steroids.
Yeah.
I don't think about this much, but now that you mention it. We're on sports now. By the way, the name of the song that I couldn't think of by the Dolls, At the Start of a New Romance.
At the Start of a New Romance.
Yeah, right. Great song. Great song.
That's Sal singing.
Yeah. That song wasn't a big national hit or even
It's a great song.
It's just a great song. Yeah.
He and I, as I said, we've co-written 9 songs now on my latest CD. And I got him to do sing on some of the backgrounds, which he enjoyed. And he was also with the Regis and the Runarounds for a while.
Okay, the Regis.
He still works, as a solo performer.
Yeah.
He's retired from the police force, but he still runs the PAL.
So you have 9 new songs.
He wanted to do it in his place, so he's doing it now.
Okay. We're talking about 2 different things. Let me just get back. You have 9 new songs coming out.
Yes. Well, actually, 18.
18.
The new CD will have 18 songs, but 9 remakes. And 9 original.
And is there a title for the CD?
I think it's going to be called Looking for the Good Times.
And when do you expect to have that out?
Let me just say shortly.
Shortly.
Yeah.
Okay, today is...
It depends on how busy the pressing plants are and how long it takes. I haven't done the artwork yet, but shortly, soon.
For those who will be listening to this on Abie's DooWop Taxi, and
You'll have it.
That's good.
When I get it, you'll have it.
And we'll feature some of the songs. But I just want to say what today's date is. Today is September 15th?
Yes.
2009. Okay, and this is Abie of Abie's DooWop Taxi. I'm talking to the great Larry Chance.
Oh God! Now I'm gonna get my head through the door.
the infamous and
there you go.
and DooWop star. Okay, you can't think of DooWop without thinking about Larry Chance.
Oh, that's nice.
Okay, and is of the Earls and not of the Earls. Larry, is there anything else you want to tell people? Anything I'm leaving out here?
Well, I just hope they continue to support people like you and listen to people like you and come out and see the live performers, whether they see me or whether they want to come out and see Herbie Cox or Johnny Maestro or the Planetones, but whatever. But support the music because that's what keeps it alive. And if the music isn't there, you can't enjoy it.
One note I have down here that I didn't ask you about. Tell me about the Bronx Walk of Fame.
Oh, that was certainly a thrill. When we got the call that said we'd like to, add you to the Bronx Walk of Fame, and I didn't even know what that was. And I said, well, who else is there? When they began to mention, Bobby Darin, Regis Philbin, Colin Powell, and on and on and on. And I said, oh my God.
Larry Chance.
So many, Tony Orlando. And I said, my God, they want us to? So it was humbling to say the least.
Where is the Bronx Walk of Fame?
Right on the Grand Concourse.
Exactly
where?
Where?
The courthouse.
161st Street.
Yes, sir. You walk down the concourse in that area and you'll see all the street signs. And it's wonderful. It's just a thrill to have our name up there with all these tremendous celebrities, authors, writers, politicians, entertainers, and there we are. It's a thrill.
And now whose idea was that?
The Bronx Borough President.
And at the time, Fernando Ferrer? Or was it after that?
It was right after that. He is now the urban advisor to President Obama.
Okay. And we can't think of his name. Right.
New Jersey Walk of Fame in Wildwood.
Oh, you're there too?
There too, and that's also a thrill. We're there with the Ronettes and the Drifters and the Coasters and you walk down the street, you look at the stars on the sidewalk, and there you are. Again, it's
a thrill.
It's just humbling. Who am I? I'm just a kid. I grew up in South Philly, moved to the Bronx, was fortunate enough to make a record that people liked, and I've been fortunate enough to have people come out and support me as an artist, and here I am with my name with these people. It's humbling, and I don't think at all deserved, but humbling, believe me.
Well, I think you deserve it. I think that, you've made your name and
I think that doctors deserve it, and politicians who've done the right things for the public, and certainly our servicemen. They're the heroes,
Okay.
Who sings, I'm glad people like me.
You're just a singer in a rock and roll band, as they say. Right.
Oh, I'm still a big DooWop fan.
Yeah.
I'm a big, I'm an entertainment fan. I just love great performance.
Yeah. I just want to mention that this location, 161st Street, and the Grand Concourse is right there by the new Yankee Stadium.
Yep.
So anybody who's going to a Yankee game in the future, keep in mind that right there, before you go to the game or after, you could see all of this.
Yeah, you'll see Dr. Ruth and the people that were with us were Dr. Ruth, and I think who else was there? The young man from Adam Rodriguez from CSI Miami, who was so incredibly nice. It's so nice to meet people, and they're big stars, and they have that humble quality. I got to meet his mom, who was a fan of mine, which freaked me out, and this lovely lady, and it's so special. I'm so fortunate, to to have people. I get so many wonderful emails from cancer victims and cancer survivors telling me that I'm an inspiration to them. And, you know, money can't buy that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, it's incredible.
Well, what's it like to hear that, so the doctor looks at you and says you have cancer? It
takes the air out of your body.
Mm-hmm.
It's like getting a hit in a punch in the stomach.
Yeah.
But I also remember that I was very calm when I sat down. I said, what do I do next? And,
think positive.
Having cancer is an awful thing.
Yeah.
But I also think that, having it in the throat when you sing.
Yeah.
Right on the vocal cord is just doubly, it's just, I don't know, it's overwhelming.
It's devastating.
It's overwhelming. You don't know what to do. You don't know what to say.
Yeah.
And your first thought is, okay, I have cancer, but why did I have to get it in the throat? You know, what do I love in life? My biggest love in life is my entertaining.
Right. Don't smoke. That's the message.
Yeah, well, don't smoke and just try to live a clean life.
Yeah.
I think I hope that one day I can before I go, I can honestly say that the world is trying to be a happy place.
Mm-hmm.
That'll make me happy.
Well, you've certainly done your part to make it that way.
Well, I try to do all I can. Believe me.
Okay, for all the times that I've ridden in my car and tapped my hand on my knee, singing "Remember Then" with you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So that I'm grateful for is my friends and fans who support me. Have supported me all these years. Because without them, you can be the greatest entertainer in the world. If they don't come and see you, they don't support you, it's over.
Mm-hmm.
And thank God they've been there for me. They're still there for me. And hopefully they'll be there for me in the future, and I can continue to do what I love for them.
Well, I'm sure they will be, Larry.
Thanks, Abie.
Okay, and it's been really great talking to you. And, keep up the good work. And I got to get out and see you one of these days.
Well,
okay?
I hope so.
Anyway,
listen, thank you for helping to keep it alive.
Okay.
I'm grateful for guys like you and what you guys do.
Okay. And I appreciate that.
Okay, you take care of yourself, and hopefully I'll see you soon, Abie.
Well, I'm gonna try to get out to one of your shows. Okay. All right, Larry.
I'll hold you to that.
Well, I got to look at your schedule. Your schedule is you tell people about your website before we go. It's
LarryChanceandtheHeroes.com.
Yeah, LarryChanceandtheHeroes.com. I got it right up in front of me. You can see Larry when he was good looking.
And if they want to see where we're performing, just click on engagements and everything's there.
Okay, Larry.
All righty.
All right, take care, Larry.
Thanks, my friend.
All right, bye.